What's up everybody? My name's Dan. Welcome to Ahnestly. So I busted my knee over the weekend and I'm a solo YouTuber, so that means I can't really make the videos that I had planned, and that sucks because I actually just quit my job recently to go full-time YouTube. Thankfully, this series, Let's Find Your Perfect Chair, doesn't require me to move around all that much. If you find this video series or any review I've done helpful and you're feeling super generous, I've activated the super thanks on my channel and any gift would be much appreciated. If you want to support the channel in other ways, please like this video and share it out to wherever, to whoever. That helps a lot. And if I've helped you find your perfect chair, your perfect office setup, whatever it is, please use the links. It costs you nothing, but I get a tiny cut, and it really, again, helps this channel so much, and it brings peace of mind, especially as I try to recover from this injury. In part 1, we looked at your entries if you're 5'7" and below, and in part 2, we're gonna be looking at your entries between 5'8" and 5'11". Now, this category had by far the most amount of entries, so I'm gonna be splitting this up into 2 parts so the video doesn't become absurdly long. Let's get honest. First up is Aiden. Aiden is 5'10", weighs 95 pounds, lives in the USA, likes to lean forward with the feet planted on the floor using an older Aeron. However, based on other information, I don't think this Aeron has the forward tilt. I think that's just how they're sitting. They like to sit all day, and this is interesting. They like they sit for competitive FPS practice. So it's not just like having fun like me, it's actually competitive practice. They like aggressive lumbar, they prefer a mesh, leather, or fabric material. They have an unlimited budget. Again, they're using an older Aeron, but they want a chair that's impossible to move around in so they can build muscle memory when they sit. So every time they sit, they're sitting exactly the same way so that it's super consistent. They've tried racer-style gaming chairs, but much prefers the Aeron. And additional information, they said that they'll try anything if it'll improve their FPS performance, and they considered getting a newer Aeron with the forward tilt, and they're asking how to sit more consistently. I think a remastered Aeron with the forward tilt is going to be your best bet. There are other chairs out there, the Hayworth Fern, the Titus chairs that can all tilt forward too, but Herman Miller honestly does it the best because their entire chair tilts forward, and that means you're gonna get a much more stable position on your feet, and it's gonna be better for your back. Now, the Herman Miller sail can also tilt forward, but it's got a cushioned seat, so I feel like you might be even more tempted to shift around and move around in the chair. As for how to sit more consistently, now I'm not a doctor, and I know that FPS gamers, you get a lot of issues with your arms, your tendons, your ligaments, and so I wanna be careful. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Just an idea that I wanna throw out is maybe consider sizing down on your Aeron. So if you're sitting in a size B right now, you can tell by going to the back of your Aeron in the backrest and putting your fingers underneath, and how many bumps do you feel? If you feel 1, it's a size A, the smallest. 2 is size B, the medium, and 3 bumps is gonna be a size C, the biggest. And if you have, for example, the B, maybe consider sizing down to the A. You may wanna test this out in a store because you may find that you don't have enough room in the seat for your thighs, but you being 95 pounds, I think an A could actually be doable, and because the mesh width is gonna be shorter, you might find yourself being much more consistent in that chair. Just some ideas, let me know how it goes. Next up is Alf. Alf is 5'10" or 179 centimeters, weighs 154 pounds or about 57 kilograms, comes from Mexico, likes to sit with leg over leg, so I believe leg over leg kind of looks like this. Likes to sit for about 10 hours at a time, likes aggressive lumbar, prefers mesh or fabric, wants to spend about 4,000 Mexican pesos or about $200 US, and hasn't tried any chairs. Unfortunately, this is going to be a repeating theme where if you are outside the United States, I just don't know what things cost. I don't know what's available and not available in different countries, but I did actually dig on Amazon to see what was available because the first chair my mind jumped to when I heard 4,000 pesos or $200 was the MFavour ergonomic mesh chair. Now, this is proof of what I mean by the chairs that are available in the US are not necessarily available in other places or at the same price, because the MFavour mesh ergonomic chair costs $800 US over in Mexico. And so unfortunately, Alf, I looked at the other chairs that are available on Amazon.Mexico and I haven't tried any of them, so I don't feel comfortable recommending any of those to you. Please comment section if you guys have found a chair in that 4,000 pesos area. Please recommend them down below for Alf. Next up is Isaiah. Isaiah is 5'11", weighs 145 pounds, lives in the USA, likes to sit normally for about 3 hours at a time, doesn't like aggressive lumbar, likes mesh, has a budget of about $1,000 and says that they don't like the Aeron's back. I wish I had a little more information here because Isaiah wants a mesh chair, and when it comes to mesh, the Aeron seriously does it the best. The other chair that you could consider is the Herman Miller Cosm, but it's a much more expensive chair and you can't really find them used, so with a $1,000 budget, you may not be able to find the Cosm. If you can though, I would recommend it. However, you being 5'11", I would say at least the mid back or the high back, which is going to be significantly more expensive than $1,000, all the way up to potentially $2,000 if you pick certain color variants. With that being said, I wish I had a little more information about what you don't like about the Aeron. I'm curious to know what size Aeron you have. I'm curious to know what lumbar support you have on your Aeron, because, and I'm gonna take a wild guess, back when I used the classic Aeron, I had the foam pad version of the lumbar, and that one caused a lot of pain, and I had a really difficult time finding a place where it fit well. So I just ended up switching over to the Posture Fit version, and it fit and felt so much better. So I'm gonna, again, just making some assumptions here. My recommendation for you is going to be to take that budget and find a used, remastered Aeron, fully loaded with the Posture Fit SL. You should be able to find that fairly easily for about $1,000, and I think you're gonna have a much better time without having to adjust that lumbar pad up and down. Let me know if I got it right or wrong down in the comments. Next up is David. David is 5'8", weighs 145 pounds, lives in the USA, sits normally for 5 hours at a time, likes aggressive lumbar, likes fabric, has a budget of $400, and currently uses a wooden chair covered in a blanket. Oh man, David, I'm so glad you're upgrading because that sounds terrible. Terrible. For you, I'm gonna recommend the holy trinity of chairs in that $400 price point. The Titus T50 or the Bowery chair or the Sihu M90. The difference between these chairs is that the Titus T50 is going to have the weakest seat pad, but the most amount of adjustability, and the headrest is decent. The Sihu M90 is going to have one of the best seat cushions in this $400 price point, and the back is slightly adjustable because you can ratchet it up to 3 times for different heights. The headrest is totally useless though, and you might as well just not put it on. And then the Bowery chair, again, has an amazing seat cushion, one of the best in this price point, and it doesn't have any kind of back adjustment, but it's got this kind of rubbery thing that will flex with your back, and because it's nice and tall, it should be perfect for you, and it's got a nice natural curve, so it's gonna really hold that lumbar in place. Next up is Ricardo. Ricardo is 5'10", weighs 150 pounds, comes from Puerto Rico, likes to sit with their leg tucked under for optimal gamer stance. KW. I don't know what that means. Likes to sit for 8 hours, likes aggressive lumbar, likes mesh, has a budget of $1,000, doesn't like racing style gaming chairs, has tried an Aeron and liked the lumbar, tried an Embody, liked the seat. Additional information, they said it's hard to find a used Aeron in Puerto Rico and not sure if they want to pay $2,000. Again, Puerto Rico is not an area that I'm super familiar with in terms of chair availability, but I'm going to say check out one of these 2 options. One is if you like the Aeron, you like the Aeron, and unfortunately you're not gonna find a cheaper option that's gonna have the same build quality, look, design, and all that stuff, you know, obviously. So I'm gonna say shell out for the Aeron, I'll explain why in a little bit. And your second option would be, if it's available to you, check out the MFavour Mesh Ergonomic Chair. It's a $200 chair here in the US. I don't know what it would cost for you. Now, why do I say push it and go for the Aeron? Because it's got a 12-year warranty, and because you wrote that you had a local dealer where you're able to try these chairs. That means if anything goes wrong with that chair, you have a local dealer that can fix it for you. Not everybody has a local dealer near them, so they have to ship their chair, and it's a big mess, takes a long time. So at least you have that going for you, and you'll have peace of mind for the next 12 years. With the MFavour Mesh Ergonomic Chair, again, the build quality is not going to be the same, the mesh quality is not going to be the same, but it could be a real cheaper alternative to the Aeron. Nils is 5'11", weighs 154 pounds, lives in Germany, likes to sit normally or with 1 foot under the other, so I believe, oh, it's going to be hard to show here, but kind of tucked under the other one here. Likes to sit for about 5 hours at a time, doesn't like aggressive lumbar, prefers mesh or fabric, has a budget of about 500 euros, doesn't like the racer style gaming chairs, and hasn't tried any chairs that they've liked, and that the design is really important to them. My German viewers in the comments always remind me that there are much better chairs in Germany than there are here in the US. So my German friends, please help out Nils in the comment section down below with any options that I don't mention here. Now, I've read that Germany is the hub of the major chair brands in Europe, such as Steelcase, Herman Miller, etc. With that being said, and looking at your budget, I think your best bet might be to find a used chair from one of these major brands. And my recommendation, because you sit with leg under leg, is to get a fabric chair, not a mesh chair, because mesh chairs have hard plastic edges and could hurt your feet when you're going leg under, especially considering your height. Now, with that being said, I highly recommend one of three things. A used steel case gesture, which I found is better for taller folks, got a nice tall back. The lumbar positioning I think also works better for taller folks. You could also try a steel case Leap V2, which I think generally works better with slightly shorter folks, or the steel case EMEA, which I think works well with everybody. Just prepare that the backrest is not going to be as high as something like the gesture. If you want a new chair, the only chair that I've tested that you can also find in Germany is the XUER M90. Now, this is going to have a solid seat cushion, a backrest that can ratchet up about 2 or 3 times. It doesn't have the best design in the world, but this is an option if you're looking for something new. Titus is 5'9", weighs 154 pounds, comes from Portugal, likes to sit normally for 8 hours at a time, doesn't like aggressive lumbar, likes mesh and leather chairs, has a budget of 500 euros, doesn't like gaming chairs, wants a chair that has good quality, likes mesh back chairs, and currently owns the Jarfjelit and doesn't need a headrest. If you're watching from Portugal, please help Titus out by mentioning your favorite chairs down in the comments below. Now, similar to what I said to Nils, I'm gonna recommend the exact same thing. And because you like to sit normally, the world is your oyster. If you can find a used Herman Miller Aeron, Herman Miller Embody, much more rare, Herman Miller Sail, again, much more rare. If you can find a steel case Leap, if you can find a steel case Gesture, if you can find a steel case EMEA, I think any of these chairs are going to do a great fit for what you need because you're looking for solid build quality. And any other chair in that 500 euro price range is just gonna be crap compared to buying a used major brand chair manufacturer chair. The other option, very similar to what I said to Nils, is that I looked up what could be possible to ship to Puerto Rico, and that is the XUER M90. Again, you're gonna get a solid seat cushion. The build quality overall is just gonna be like kind of janky, but it's significantly cheaper than your 500 euro request, and you get a decent adjustable backrest. The headrest is totally useless though, so keep that in mind. Next up is Joey, and Joey is hilarious, such a troll, posting this as their ideal chair. Now, Joey is 5'9", weighs 160 pounds, lives in the USA, likes to sit normally, or this is new, with their knees to their chest. Likes to sit for about 3 to 5 hours at a time, likes aggressive lumbar, prefers mesh, leather, or fabric, has a price range or a budget of $1,500, and their current chair is the Mira 1, but they wish that the lumbar was more aggressive, that it supported the knees to the chest position, and that the hard edges on the backrest that dig into their shoulder blades, and also wish that the Mira 1 had a headrest. This person prefers mesh because they are quite gassy. Props to you for remembering the booty juices factor. And unfortunately, Joey, you want a mesh seat, but you don't want it to hurt your back, and that's not a combination that I know of right now, because all mesh chairs need something firm, hard to hold that mesh in place, so a lot of mesh chairs have hard plastic edges around the seat and on the back. I strongly recommend you upping your budget just a little bit and consider getting the Herman Miller Embody or the steel case Gesture. I recommend these two chairs in particular because of the way the seat is designed. The Embody has probably one of the widest seat pans I've ever used, and because you can lower the arms and pull them out, you have a huge amount of space to be able to raise those knees up to your chest. With the Gesture, the armrest adjustment is absolutely insane. And yes, you can get them low and totally out of the way, again, raising your knees up to your chest. If I remember correctly, because I don't have the Gesture on hand, the Embody does have a wider seat pan than the Gesture, but not nearly as much customizability with the armrests. I'm tempted to recommend the Fern because the Fern has such a high back, but the headrest on the Fern is just, no, it's bad. Next up is Brandon. Brandon is 5'8", weighs 160 pounds, lives in the USA, likes to sit normally for about 12 hours, but gets up pretty often, likes aggressive lumbar, likes a mesh chair, has a budget of $2,000. They like the Aeron and says, "You the best for doing this." Brandon's weight, height, and budget is actually the perfect trinity for chairs. This person is the perfect height. Most chair manufacturers have this height in mind when they build their chairs. Their budget, their $2,000 budget, allows them to buy basically any chair out there, and then their weight, 160 pounds, prevents them from being limited to cheaper mesh chairs if that's something that Brandon wanted. Any and every chair is basically open to you. Brandon already seems to have found the perfect chair, the Aeron, but if you're feeling particularly adventurous, you could try the Mira 2, which is kind of like an Aeron, or you could try the Steelcase Carmen when that comes out. Hopefully Steelcase will send that to me so I can review it when it gets released. If you're liking this video series, if you're liking this channel, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. Use the links. Please, if you're feeling generous, hit the super thanks button. I really appreciate it. All of that helps to help me make more content for you guys. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, stay honest.